Hey guys, I'm Richard Fitzgerald. This is Dubai Works, where we interview the business leaders making a difference in this great city. This week's interview is about the transport sector, and with the trends that are happening in transport at the moment, plus the traffic on the streets that we see in Dubai, it's quite a timely interview. As is, Dubai is so busy at the moment, and the business world is no different. A lot of people are planning their Q4 events and conferences and things like that. At the weekend, I attended the Irish Business Network Business Conference, an annual event that they host. And then that evening, I attended the Business Excellence Leadership Awards in Silicon Oasis. Lots of things you'll see on Smashy Business, Instagram, and on the website and the app is things like Fuse, a digital assets infrastructure platform, raised 14 million in funds. We see lots of other headlines with companies like Saudi Arabia officially launching a startup hub, and lots of other companies in the news as well. Virgin Holdings, Red Sea Development, lots of announcements out of Egypt, money laundering things in Dubai, Blink's an app launched, media app launch, ChatGPT available in address. So there's so much news there that you can check out, as always, on Smashy. Lots of stuff happening with iPhone being released today as well. So do check that out and enjoy the conversation. Welcome back to another episode of Dubai Works Business Podcast. This week we are joined by Khaled Nuseibeh. He's the CEO at Hala, Dubai's most affordable and convenient e-hailing taxi solution. And we'll talk exactly what e-hailing is and the story of Hala, transportation industry, and all the exciting things that are happening in Dubai and the UAE, and looking ahead with Hala. Good morning, Khaled.
Good morning, Richard.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, so Hala, what is it?
Well, it's actually, Hala started in 2019 as a joint venture between the RTA and Kareem. And the service that we essentially provide is the e-hail service for taxi. And we provide the most affordable e-hail ride in Dubai without compromising on quality. Essentially, we've managed to really change the way people, get into a taxi and go from whereabouts and start moving around the city. We're able to really improve on the experience that customers, have when they're using a taxi, by being able to give them the capability to plan their journey, know when their ride is essentially coming, know how long it will take for them to get to their destination, know how long their trip is going to cost them. And today we've seen tremendous success and adoption amongst customers, and we've been really able to elevate the level of service that is provided in the taxi sector in Dubai. And as you could see, we have a big role to play when it comes down to the mobility side of Dubai, and being part of different mobility modes, as they say. And I think it's very interesting to see how e-hailing is really just fitted in with the rest of the transport sector in Dubai, and keep the city moving essentially.
Exactly, yeah. And for someone who's been here over a decade, the speed, no pun intended, the change of mobility and the city and transport is obviously fascinating. RTA themselves do an amazing job on many things, but to differentiate, how did it come about? Because we know of the taxi service, and Dubai has always had a good taxi service. And then if you call ride hailing, or the apps and the sort of smart mobility that sort of evolved in different ways, at what point was it decided that an e-hailing JV was needed, and how did that come about?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, as you said, the Dubai taxi has really been up there in terms of setting the right standard for many taxis around the world in terms of the right level of service and the right level of safety and comfort as well, right? And at some point, I think the RTA was really thinking of how do we take this up one notch? How do we go in line with the latest of what's happening in the mobility sector around the world? And actually, it was just a natural kind of evolution to move from just a taxi service that was, people could street hail in Dubai to allowing customers to e-hail from any part of Dubai. Obviously, Dubai was growing. It was a city that it was getting more and more complex in terms of covering the entire geography of Dubai, and this is where e-hailing really could add lots and lots of value in the sense that you could be sitting in area as far away as the Arabian Ranches or even further out in terms of town square or even more remote areas and still be able to e-hail a taxi wherever you are, at whatever time of the day you are in, with a very short amount of time. So obviously, e-hailing brought about the convenience aspect of being able to get a taxi wherever you were at any time of the day. Even if you were in a brand new area that just recently launched, you were able to find a taxi.
So essentially, if I am on the Careem app and I book a Hala taxi via Careem, that's an RTA cab that comes.
Correct.
So why was a JV needed? Could that have worked as a partnership, and could that have said RTA taxi rather than Hala and a brand?
I think one of the many success factors of Hala has been the fact that this is a joint venture between the RTA, which has done an amazing job so far at really coming up with one of the best taxi services in the world. And people always talk about, whenever I travel in the region, people say, Dubai's taxi, because they obviously understand there's a very good level of service that's been established there. And I think, obviously, the RTA has done an amazing job there. And then, obviously, Careem, which has been a company that has really pioneered e-hailing within the region and has done tremendous success in actually being present in so many different markets and really being able to not just provide customers with a very convenient, reliable option to move around, but also create a large amount of jobs in many other markets in many other countries. So I think that's this joint venture between the RTA and Careem is one of the fundamental reasons why Hala has been really successful so far.
Okay, I understand. And so technically then, how does it work? So if you're sort of plugging between two entities, how do you kind of stand on your own 2 feet? What inventory do you have, and what's your service and product?
Yeah. So essentially, Hala is an e-hailing marketplace.
Yeah.
It's a booking platform where customers can just come in and be able to be matched to the closest possible ride that's within not just the closest geographical location, but also the ride that is actually closest to them in terms of time. As you know, cars are always moving around. They're on different roads. There's traffic. There's a lot of different variables that go within the backend algorithms. And so essentially, this platform would give customers and captains probably the best booking match, essentially, if you want to call it this way. And this is where we're able to use Careem's technology together with the entire fleet that we have on Dubai Taxi. We have all the 12,000 cars that are in Dubai on the Hala platform, driven by 21,000 captains, to provide all of the customers with the best possible service. Today, more than 60% of our rides are done within 3.5 minutes of an ETA, meaning the majority of customers will get a cab in less than 3.5 minutes, which is absolutely amazing, considering that Dubai is becoming a big city, it's growing. So we're able to get a car to every customer within 3.5 minutes, 60% of the times, and that's a major indicator that we were always focusing on. We have been focusing obviously a lot on growing the service. We've seen massive demand. We see that obviously large amount of users, different segments, we have to cater to all the different needs, which puts a lot of pressure on us in terms of ensuring that we provide the best level of reliability at all times, We've done a lot of work to make sure that we focus on improving and continuously raise the bar in terms of the reliability. And we have essentially grown in terms of the online hours that captains spend on the platform. If you compare the first half of the year of 2023 versus the first half of 2022, we've grown by 83%.
Explain that, the time they spend driving with the customer.
This is actually the amount of hours logged in by the captains. Of course, captains is what we call the drivers of the cars. We call them captains.
Just to confuse, so captains is what Kareem calls people, but you're also calling RTA taxi people captains?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we do that so that we also, encourage customers to give them, really treat them with, a better kind of
respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Respect. And we call them captains because it also makes them feel like, and we'll talk about how we really focus on captains as a big part of the service that we have. But we saw that the online hours that we have grew by 83% because we put a lot of focus in ensuring the supply was there. Supply meaning the amount of cars and the captains that drive them. And that goes in line with the immense growth that we've seen on our customer and the demand side of the business.
So how do you look at growth in terms of, is it total trips booked? Because I'm thinking of three areas, right? There's the person who books a regular taxi.
Correct.
There's a person who would use Kareem, and then there's the person who uses the partnership, the Hala. Mm-hmm. Is your audience from a new market, or is your audience are the people using Hala from people who might have previously used Dubai Taxi?
Street Hail, yeah.
Street Hail,
yeah.
Or from a Kareem e-Hail?
Yeah, it's a very important question you're asking here. I'm sure you've read one of the main goals that the RTA is really trying to achieve is to ensure that 80% of taxi trips in Dubai are actually happening on e-Hail. Why? Obviously, there's an improvement in the level of service, there's a reduction in complaints, and in addition to that, you're able to really match a car with and provide a level of service that's far more superior. Especially for tourists that are coming into Dubai, you want to make sure that they're getting the best possible experience. And e-hailing is the answer to that. Hence, the goal that the RTA is really trying to push for, which is 80% of total taxi trips should be happening on e-hail. So our main focus is to make sure that we create a value proposition that is very much focused on customers that are using street hail. We talk about how it's very easy how it's much more convenient for you to book a ride as opposed to actually sit on the side of the street. Sometimes it's hot, weather's not great, and you have to really try and find a taxi, which is not always a smooth experience. With Hala, you can book a taxi at the tap of a button, make sure that the car arrives at your destination. It's a much smoother experience, as well as getting in the car, and payment is very easy. It's a seamless transaction. So all in all, I think the reason why there's a reduction in customer complaints on e-hailing is because of the convenience and reliability, as well as the entire user experience being much more smooth for customers.
Yeah, as you said, from booking to payment, and safety around even knowing the data of the transport as well. But from the customer base, so say in 1 year there might be I'm just going to throw a number out there, 1 million trips, and then before you started, the majority of the Dubai Taxi were street hail, and what was that percentage? And then is that from this, as I kind of was wondering, is that from the same, say, 1 million trips from street hail? Are you just trying to convert street hail to e-hail? Or potentially the people who were using Kareem or Uber, for example, or another mobility, that they're coming over to Hala?
Yeah. No, I think what we focus on is really getting street hailers to come onto e-hailing, because we obviously, in line with RTA direction, this is one of the better ways for people to get around. And as you said, users, we always look at how can we actually grow the number of users based on purely from not just the residents and tourists, but also the street hailers that are already today existing street hailing. We've seen already that in H1 of this year, we've grown by 21% versus last year in terms of users. So clearly there's a progressive year-on-year growth that we see for users coming onto Hala, onto the platform and using our services.
And do they use also the RTA app or Hala app as well as Kareem?
So there is no Hala app or RTA app. The way to find Hala is to get onto the Kareem app, and you will find the Hala tile. If you click on it, you'll be able to obviously find all the different Hala, we call them CCTs, which is essentially just a technology term, but they're different car types. So we have the sedan, which is where the majority of our customers opt in for. But we also have Hala van. If you're trying to get a ride to the airport, you need a bit more space, and you're more than 3 passengers, then you can get into a Hala van. Sorry, more than 4 passengers, you can get into a Hala van. And we also have Hala Kids, which essentially gives you the opportunity, if you're traveling with a toddler or an infant, we have a service whereby you would be able to get a car seat in the back of a car and have your child actually travel with you in complete safety.
And if some people, so in this part of the world, it was interesting, one of our team went to London over the summer, and she ordered a lot of black cabs because she assumed that it's cheaper than an Uber.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's the other way around. So because Ubers traditionally were a little bit more expensive here, it was a luxury car. It wasn't as cheap. But now the perception is that the RTA, the regular taxi, is cheaper than an Uber. Does that mean that the price point that Hala is cheaper than a regular Kareem?
Absolutely. Today, Hala provides the most affordable e-hailing taxi option in Dubai. So obviously for customers that are looking for affordability, they would come to Hala. However, that doesn't mean that we offer any compromise on quality, right? So we want to make sure that we always offer the same level of reliability at all times. And that's where that's been a massive focus for us. We take it very, very seriously. And we do understand that sometimes you have events, you have a lot of tourists coming in, demand is a bit stretched, but we're always, with the technology that we have, we're able to really use that to provide the best level of reliability to our customers. So yes, we are the most affordable, but we don't compromise on quality and reliability as well.
Interesting. And what, Uber is the parent of Kareem. Does that mean that you're available on the Uber app as well, or is the technology different?
Yeah. No, today we're just available on the Kareem app under the Hala tile. That's where you can go in and book your Hala. Okay,
fair enough. And so from a branding and positioning point of view, would regular people know that they're e-hailing a RTA cab if they press Hala?
Yeah, so I think we've done a lot of work to really establish Hala as a brand. And now I think customers really understand. You hear a lot of customers come and say, I'm going to book a Hala. Which means that we've done a pretty decent job to really just kind of tie in the e-hailing taxi with the Hala brand. And I think, people, when e-hailing started many, many years ago, people would say, I'll book an Uber. But you hear people in Dubai now say, I'm going to book a Hala. And actually, that's music to my ears. It's great. It means we've done a fantastic job in really building a brand where people can relate and are happy using. And obviously, customer happiness index is something that we always really focus on. But customer is just one part of the story. The other part is the captains. Absolutely massive focus on captains because we understand that if you focus on the captain, they're able to provide a much better service to your customers, and they're the forefront every day. Delivering the service. We've done a lot to really focus on captains, starting with, early last year, we launched Hala Home. Essentially, it's a captain support center where captains can just come in, get their issues sorted out in a matter of minutes, as opposed to in the past, it was done remotely over digital channels. It would take a bit longer, but also have that face-to-face kind of discussion with our support team.
I like that because so many things happen in a day-to-day environment, and you can have the best tech in the world, but they're just that's Hala Home sounds an amazing place where they can not sort out disputes, but just actually have a conversation about something that happened. Absolutely. And you get more real-time data.
Oh, absolutely. You're able to really understand a lot from them. And in return, by listening to them, you're able to actually get back and come up with things to really improve their lives. For example, we launched the Kareem Pay wallet for our captains, and essentially what we're able to do is pay their bonuses and guarantees and tips directly to this wallet. It's on their mobile phone, on their app, and by having this money on their wallet, they're able to pay their bills instantly. They're able to transfer money to each other. They're able to withdraw this money from an ATM and send the money back home at very competitive exchange rates and at zero transfer fees. So we have approximately 17,000 captains that are actually using this right now.
That's incredible.
It's gained a lot of success. And last but not least, and that's actually coming very soon, is we're launching a captain loyalty program, which essentially will provide captains with a lot of discounts in all their favorite places, whether it's food and entertainment, or being able to book a trip back home, or being able to get discounts in some of the retail stores where they usually go and visit. So that program hopefully will be launched soon, and I think captains are really, really going to like it. So
that's amazing. Yeah, especially because Kareem have done such a good job at making that app, whatever the terms are nowadays, but making that app multi-product and multi-service. And, whether it's a Kareem box or whether it's Kareem Pay, that fintech element wasn't easy to do. And to hear it being used in this way is quite remarkable, really, especially, from a global sort of, trend on how these products and services has evolved. Often in other markets, it's the captains or equivalent that aren't looked after, and to hear that they're being treated in this way it's really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we see that for you to deliver an outstanding level of service, they're at the core of everything that we do. And we've also do also spend some fun times with them. So we have different events all throughout the years. We have a cricket league that we tournaments that we try and engage with as many captains as possible. We have Ramadan iftars, and twice a year we also have these captain kind of galas for the best performers. We have cinema days or movie nights. So there's different. We've run I think more than 180 events over the last few years in different forms, just to try and engage with them as much as possible, and really also give us a chance to understand what is it that we can do to improve and the way they do their jobs every day, and being able to provide a better level of service.
And before there wasn't tipping, right? You weren't really encouraged to give cash to a taxi, or maybe there was, but it wasn't fully regulated. Now you can do that digitally. And how does that work? I'm not too familiar, but because I drive mostly or have a driver, but so when you tip on Hala, how does that work with the captain?
So obviously, when you end your trip, you'll as part of the flow or the booking flow, you'll be prompted on the app to tip your captain. And there's, just to make it easier for customers, there's some preset amounts, but there's also a custom amount. So if you feel like you really want to tip your captain, you can do that depending on the level. And of course, there's also a star rating which you can rate your captain. So I think that also has been one of the things that we've been able to bring about, which is really a very easy way for you to tip your captain, especially if you've been delivered with a great experience.
And so the tip would be for the Hala captain would get the same tip as, say, if it was a Kareem captain, as in the system works the same way.
System works the same way. So it's the same flow at the end of the day, and the same technology that's being used, absolutely.
And in terms of the percentage amount, is there transparency in what the captain receives?
So there is, absolutely, because the captain would know how much they're being tipped. They just like we have a customer app, there's also a captain app. And on the captain app, they would see how much their earnings are, but how much also what's their star rating and how much money they're actually being tipped. So they would get that full transparency. And transparency is a very important word you're talking about, Richard, because essentially, you want to provide the best level of transparency in all the transactions and all the engagements that you have with your captains. And that's why on the captain app, there's we have this full digital experience, which really provides them with all the details of all the time they spend on Hala rides and how much money they're making and their tips and so on. So.
And could flippantly say, are people generous? But because there's data now everywhere, do you see that with this technology that the captains are being remunerated more now?
Absolutely. Because the experience is just made easier for the customer, right? And you don't actually need to do it on the spot. You can, if you're in a hurry, you finish your ride and you're off to a meeting or something, you can always, go back to your app and tip your captain. And as I said, it can be any amount, right? So we give that customers the flexibility to really do that. And, I think that's one of the things that where we're able to actually come in and really give captains a different level of experience as well.
Interesting. I want to talk a little bit more and get your views on the wider mobility, smart mobility trends and transport in the UAE. But just for you personally, Khaled, how did you get into, was your background transport, or how did you become the CEO of Hala?
Yeah, so my background actually was, I spent my first 13 years of my work experience in the telco sector. I was working for different telco providers in the region and in Australia. And I, having spent a while in the telco sector doing different, jobs, mostly, looking after product marketing and different verticals, there was this big industry coming up, which was e-hailing. And the opportunity with Careem came about. And if you remember, this was a time when, there was massive growth. Everybody was talking about it. And it was prior to the Uber acquisition. Careem was becoming the biggest unicorn in the region, and we all wanted to join this amazing organization that had a mission, which was really to simplify people's lives, but also to create an awesome organization that inspired. And I was very lucky to be part of that for 5 years. I managed different markets at Careem in the GCC, Levant area, but also in North Africa. And then this opportunity with Hala came around, and I decided that I'm still working very closely with Careem, but also working closely with RTA, but also really looking after a great organization like Hala. So essentially, that's a brief nutshell of my work experience and how I got to here working with Hala.
Amazing. So so you did have this sort of soft entry, if that's a way of saying it. You were inducted into the digital space through Careem. So it wasn't like straight into e-hailing, because I'm sure it's a vast, complex world.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, e-hailing was and is still a kind of an emerging industry that's coming up and changing a lot of the way people move around. And it's become a massive industry within the mobility industry itself. If you look at the number of e-hailing providers in all throughout the world, whether it's taxi e-hailing or limo e-hailing or other forms of e-hailing, it's really changed a lot about how people are moving around, especially in the big cities. Looking at, for example, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, for example, they've been ranked today within the top. I think they came in 6th position in the shared mobility penetration index, meaning customers will use different forms of transport to get around. And we see that commuters today are using different forms of transportation to get to their work, whether it's the metro with e-hailing, whether it's just e-hailing or bus. And so it's becoming a bit more complex. And we see that e-hailing is one of the ways that people kind of can plug in between all the existing different ways of transportation. And hence, this is where we see that it's been a massive success. We are able to use the e-hailing technology to solve a lot of problems. Essentially, we know where the peak times are, where the peak areas are, where consumers are going, and so on. And technology is at the heart of everything that we do. We're able to use this technology to improve how customers are moving around by providing them with all these different data points, such as when is their driver or ride is going to be arrive, how long it will take them to get there, how much it will cost them. And also there's all the different features that they can share their rides, or they have all the details about the car. That's all technology for the customer that we provide, but also for captains, right? Captains today are able to really move around in a much faster way. They're able to get to the closest possible customer and they're able to, obviously use all these features that are at disposal to have an easier experience when they're doing their jobs. So technology is essentially how we're able to really improve and solve a lot of problems that we see within the mobility industry. Last but not least, for example, for captains, we can provide them continuously with heat maps that tell them where the demand is, what areas, where they should be, where they shouldn't be, and so on.
Interesting. So if there's a concert on, they know that they should get their car down there.
So there's a lot that we do. Obviously, if it's a concert, we know ahead of time, there's a big, massive event. We're able to actually tell them, look, there's a lot of demand there. We'll send some push and comes. But they also have the stuff that operates according to the algorithm. They'll know, for example, that, in certain areas, there's more demand during certain times, and they're able to actually just use the app to move around. If you remember also, we used a lot of our technology during big events in Dubai. Obviously, starting with Expo, we used our HDL, our high density location technology, which really allowed us to provide taxis at all times to all customers according to the demand. So we're able to see how many people are actually asking for demand within those events and provide the right amount of taxis at that time. We've done the same with the World Cup.
But there was still a lot of demand around Expo.
Absolutely.
And the rest of the city then felt it, I guess, because there was so many, it was over 20 million visitors.
It was massive. And honestly, I think today, post-COVID, we had Expo, massive event that really, it was a big success for Dubai and for the UAE. And I think eventually today, what you see in Dubai, it's obviously one of the places which has really done super well post pandemic. Business is booming. There's a lot of people coming in, choosing to buy Dubai to be their home, but also the place where they want to do business and the place where they want to invest. So it's great to see the amount of traffic that we have in Dubai. I think it's a great blessing. It also puts a lot of pressure on us to make sure that we are providing the right level of reliability to all of the customers. And
the demand is there, absolutely. So in transport and smart mobility, there's so many global macro trends or exciting futuristic stuff, whether it's, obviously there's AI impact on this, but there's driverless cars, there's, helicopter taxis or air taxis and things like this. How much of that do you think is realistic? Is it true? Do you look at elsewhere? And then going back to the data point, are you and people who run these companies driven by sort of looking at the macro things? Are you more looking granularly at the data and the customer and what you see on a day-to-day basis?
I guess, Richard, is a bit of both. We definitely have to keep our eye out on the business on a day-to-day basis. The transport sector is a very dynamic one. Things are always changing, and especially in a growing city like Dubai, you really have to be able to forecast how much are we going to grow, how much supply do we need, how we're able to fulfill all of that, where, how. You always have to kind of have a plan in place, but also in terms of the new technologies that are coming up. You mentioned autonomous driver vehicles. There was some trials going on in Dubai earlier this year, and I think that's just a technology that's coming soon. You hear of two companies actually doing that in San Francisco today. I think it's Cruise and Waymo. And it's becoming a reality. So
someone told me, my brothers live in San Francisco, but someone told me the other day that they're everywhere now over there.
Yes.
Is that exaggeration or?
No, I think it's happening. And, San Francisco is one of these tech hubs where you'll see a lot of these new innovations starting out, and it's coming. It's a reality. Who would have thought that a few years ago you could e-hail a taxi from anywhere and have it in front of you within a few minutes. So I think it's coming. We obviously, will be there when that comes into the industry. And also you have not just that, you'll see a transition from the petrol cars and the hybrid cars. Today, more than 86% of the cars that we have are hybrid cars. But, the RTA has also introduced some electric cars earlier this year. And that's also a technology which, eventually will replace, as it matures, will replace what we have today. And
Dubai has some pretty ambitious and usually always meets these things, KPIs and goals around electric vehicles on the roads. And that obviously affects, if you've got 12,000 cars, then that we'll see a lot more fully e-cars, electric vehicles.
Absolutely. You see that technology is maturing. The range, the battery range is just getting better all the time. And you have so many different suppliers that are getting into the game right now. So it's just a matter of time before this technology really becomes mature and becomes, you start seeing more and more of these cars on the road today. And I think it's great. I think it's absolutely fantastic that you see so much greener alternatives that are being available to everyone.
Definitely. Hypothetically, and not to play devil's advocate, but we talked a lot about the benefit of captains and what Hala is doing. But imagine there's a future where there's no drivers. So what would happen then? You'd order a Hala and it would be an automated, the driverless car, but then the captains wouldn't have a vocation.
Well, I think there's always be a need for
humans.
The humans. Absolutely. I mean, I think, where this technology will come in, it will complement a lot of what we have today. I don't think, it will replace as of so much. However, I think, sometimes if you look at, there are certain needs or certain requirements. For example, the longer distance trips, you'll always be having humans actually doing this, but also certain trips, the smaller ones or, that happen within certain locales could be replaced. And I think this technology will complement what drivers today will have and could actually work hand in hand, right? You could have a driver wanting to take a break and actually have this technology take over for an hour or two. So I think it will really complement in many ways.
Yeah. I didn't mean to ask you a pressing sort of AI computers versus humans question, but because I fundamentally believe that, there will always be humans, and especially with what we do, our industry is the buzzword now with generative AI and content, but we always think that human decision is needed. Yeah. But so just interestingly, obviously Careem have done an amazing job with technology, but also their expansion in the region. And RTA is, it's the Road Transport Authority of Dubai in the UAE, and you're a JV. What does that do for your expansion? Can you have Hala in other markets where Careem is?
It's a good question. Yes, I think essentially today we are in Ras Al Khaimah, and we provide the e-hailing taxi option in Ras Al Khaimah, which means that if we can replicate the same level of success that we've had in Dubai so far, and today also we're seeing that Ras Al Khaimah is picking up and actually growing in terms of the number of trips and number of customers that are using us. So
would that still be with RTA, or would that be with the Emirate there?
So it will still be, Hala would still be working with the Emirate there to offer the services, such as we're working obviously today with RACTA, the development authority there, to offer the service. And that would allow us really to, again, have the key learnings that we have in Dubai and take them and improve on them and just make it a success everywhere else, but also work with the partners that we have in the different Emirates or in different cities that we're in to understand what are their needs and be able to offer them a service that is very much tailored to their requirements.
So in other words, RTA is sort of like the parent company that has a JV, but doesn't mind if Hala sort of expands beyond what they would.
Absolutely. I mean, Hala is really focused around offering an e-hailing taxi option which really provides customers with a reliable and affordable option wherever they are. And that's where the mission of Hala is. We want to make sure that we're always offering reliability, affordability, and convenience. These are the three things that we're always kind of focused on in whatever city we're operating.
And do you think it's a blueprint that could work to do the things that you said that Hala was very successful at in terms of time, efficiency, speed, customer service to other taxi owners, operators in the region?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've learned a lot, but every region is very different. Every every market is different. But I think we've really learned a lot about what are the success factors for Hala based on what we've done. And today, I think, if you've been successful at something, you've obviously gone through stages where you've had challenges, overcome them, and found solutions to them. So it's been a massive learning experience, a massive journey. And definitely there's been a lot of learnings we can take on board on how to offer a fantastic, reliable e-hailing service.
And so going back to sort of the Hala makeup, we joked outside about the offices and the towers and the convenience and that. But so to get in mind, where's Hala based and what team works on Hala?
Yeah.
What skills do you have?
So today we have actually an office in Media City. We're 28 people in Media City. So it's a pretty small team. And we have the usual marketing, operations teams, but also legal, finance, business intelligence. As I said, data is massive. We always look at data as a key area in how we make all of our business decisions. But we also have a captain support center, HalaHome, which I talked about, situated in Al Quoz. And obviously, being in Al Quoz, it's a location where we chose as a very central city, a central location within Dubai, where captains can come in from all sides of Dubai, but also a lot of our partners, the franchise companies that own the cars, are situated within around these areas. So I think we picked Al Quoz. We said this will be a good location for HalaHome. These are the two locations that we have today within Dubai. Yes.
And interesting. And is there, coming to the end, but what's the roadmap for Hala? In terms of where you're taking the business over the next few years?
I think first and foremost, and I think that's something which we will always focus on, is how do we continue offering a reliable service and a convenient service while remaining obviously affordable. So these three things, super important. We'll always be focusing on in Dubai. And obviously with the growth of Dubai that you see, we need to keep up with that growth and make sure that we provide that level of service always. We talk a little bit about expansion. We have Ras Al Khaimah, it's doing very well. I think there's a lot for us to be doing there. And of course, we talked a little bit about the technologies coming forward. We'll always be following whatever the RTA kind of, decides should be the direction for Dubai. So we have a mission which is really to be part of the mobility sector in Dubai and to serve the residents and the tourists, and Hala will continue doing that.
Okay, this is a business show, so I do want to sort of dig a little deeper. But of course, the RTA is a semi-state; it's a transport authority, and Careem is linked to a global listed company on the Nasdaq, Uber. And so, how does this work? Like we've seen in the history a lot in the last few years, a wave of IPOs. We've seen other companies associated with RTA go public, such as Salek. Like, is there anything there? I'm sure you won't share it, but is there anything there that you're going to lean one towards the other, or how does that look like?
I think today, there isn't really a specific direction for Hala. I think, this is right now, I think, we're really focusing on ensuring that we are growing the business, continuing to offer customers with the best form of reliability and convenience, continuing to focus on our captains, elevating that level of experience, and always being up there and raising the bar. Very important for us. And then, hopefully also expanding that success story for Hala in other locations. So this is where the main focus of Hala is on right now. I think we've proven that this model has been a great success, and we will continue working within that direction to make sure it happens.
Definitely, and it's relatively new, and as you said, you've proven the product. So the pressing challenges are probably to deal with all the emerging technologies and all the traffic on the street at the moment.
Absolutely, there's just so much to. I mean, things are moving fast. There's AI that came in as a big emerging technology at the beginning of the year.
Definitely,
and who knows, right, where technology could take us and how we will have to adjust this for this in the coming periods.
And so lastly, what's your view? Are you optimistic about Dubai and the region? Do you think we're in a great city, and your outlook for the future for the next decade or so?
Absolutely. I think we talked about how Dubai emerged post-pandemic, rebounded super strongly, and you see that today. You just have to be in Dubai to witness a place which is now super busy. It's buzzing. A lot of people coming in to Dubai to not just live but also do business and set up business. So super optimistic. I think there's a lot of ambitious plans for Dubai. Dubai has become, essentially one of the big business hubs worldwide, and I think there's a lot more coming.
Brilliant. Pleasure talking to you this morning. Khaled, thanks. It's great to learn a little bit more about Hala, and we'll follow your journey in the future.
Thank you so much, Richard. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you
for having me.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
That was super interesting to hear all about Hala. Khaled has a lot on his plate, and there's a lot of trends happening in mobile and smart mobility, and it's really successful what Hala has done. Cool to know. I do think that either the RTA or Hala, one of them will go public one day, so we'll be able to follow the story even more publicly in the future, but that's just a projection, a Dubai Works Business Podcast prediction. Thanks again to Ali Baba and Shahir who produced the podcast. This goes out streaming on smashy.tv, on the website, on mobile apps, and also on smart TV devices. On that smashy.tv, you will also find the home of UAE sports with futsal, basketball, volleyball and handball, and the season has started. There's 10 to 15 games a week, and you can get 30% discount for a season pass up until the next couple of weeks, still available there, so do check it out. We have commentary, there's highlights, there's all the goals, all the action from the local federations and UAE leagues. This also goes out on Smashy Business Instagram account, and of course the podcast. If you're listening, please do comment, subscribe and share on Apple, Angami or Spotify. And of course we are part of Smashy Business Production. It's also part of Augustus Media, which publishes Love in Dubai and other shows, and you'll be able to check out articles about this podcast and Love in Dubai as well. We'll be back next week as always on Friday with another episode. Chat to you then.